Hello, everyone. I am so excited to bring you the Trending Tuesday topics of all things ADP Marketplace. I've decided to take a different journey to educate my network on what ADP has to bring to the market. One comment I hear very often is, oh, I didn't know ADP could do that, or I didn't know ADP had a partner that can do that. So today, that's all going to change. And I'm so excited to have my first partner on the line with us, Tony DeSantis from Ving. Tony,
Good
welcome.
morning.
Thank you for joining. Appreciate
Yes.
you being here.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Background about why I chose your organization over all the other 300 groups that I could have picked is because Ving is an Ohio company, which to me, being a born and raised Ohio girl, that is a big deal. I think that 'tis the season. We like to shop local and support our local businesses. So I wanted to bring a local organization on first and foremost. So I'm super excited to have you here. Also, I think it's really important. One of the top industries in Ohio is manufacturing. And I know that's not your only focus. You have over 11 different industries that you play nice with. But specifically for manufacturing, since it's such a hot industry in Ohio, I know that you bring a lot when it comes to safety and quality and HR compliance training. So I'm super excited to have you here. So thanks again
so much
for being here.
Yeah, it's all good. Thanks for having us, and definitely a homegrown Ohio company here.
Yeah, I love it. Being a Buckeye girl, I appreciate you greatly. So the first question I have for you is, 2020 has been a little bit of a nightmare for most people involved, and changes is the only thing that's pretty constant recently. So what are you hearing more now than you've heard ever before?
You know, you're exactly right. It's just crazy out there, and especially in what we call the built worlds, manufacturing, construction, and all the associated trades. We work with companies from coast to coast. And what we're seeing really are three top observations. Some are very simple things that have had to change, and some are some bigger things. So the top three observations that we're seeing that are different from 2019 to 2020. First, the in-person safety talks are transitioned, if they haven't already, transitioning into virtual safety talks or toolbox talks, especially in the manufacturing and construction worlds. So many organizations have been doing these up until 2020 very traditionally. Gather around the truck, gather around the trailer, come into the conference room, get your 5-minute safety tip talk, and then go work. Well, with social distancing, we just can't do that anymore. And we can't afford to not do it at all, because we have to get the right training out there. One, so people don't get hurt, and two, so we can avoid any type of OSHA fines from not meeting the requirements. So typically what we're seeing is an industry that really shied away from on-demand virtual training, people looking safety tips on their phone, to getting with the program, jumping into the year 2020 and really getting pushed to try it, but finding out that they like delivering their tool talks that way. The second thing is we're seeing a dramatic increase in leadership outreach. This is a big thing. To their employee base, leadership outreach to their employee base. Why? One, human capital is such a critical, important part of any business. And as soon as we find good people, we need to retain and keep them. And turnover is always an issue. Skilled trades are scarce in manufacturing and construction. And when you find a good one, you want to keep them. The problem is through the impact of COVID-19, there's been all types of uncertainty placed upon businesses, whether we're closing or staying open, whether I'm getting furloughed or laid off. And what happens with all of this uncertainty comes rumor. So using technology to reach out to people, to increase that level of connectedness between what's going on in the business and the employee base for the sake of squashing the rumor mill, has been critically important in 2020. And then the last thing, as far as observations across the country, is compliance tracking. This goes well beyond safety training. So this is how in the know your organization is as to how compliant every employee is with the things that you need to do them to keep them out of harm's way and or the people around them. And again, I know it's a common theme, but it's our reality is COVID-19. If one
For sure.
person, yeah, if one person comes and works that manufacturing line or that construction site, and they haven't been compliant with tracking with their exposure or symptoms related to COVID-19, that one person could transfer COVID-19 to other workers, and then we have this domino effect. Now, if you're a large business and you can absorb that impact, then maybe it's less to you. But we're hearing stories out there of smaller businesses who are just devastated because their impact to their already small team because of COVID-19 and somebody not being compliant with keeping up with, sanitation or exposure could really jeopardize that business. So those are the three big observations. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it's scary, and I've heard it from clients. So I know you're spot on. It's a struggle, and people are worried about COVID. That we don't want to talk about it anymore, but unfortunately, we're in that reality right now. So, what is one thing, Tony, that you wish you can share with business owners?
Yeah, one of the things that we talk to folks about all the time, and our application Ving is not only used for safety and quality assurance training, but it is definitely used for HR compliance across the organization. And when we talk about HR compliance, people tend to dial in really into their area of accountability. And they're talking about, well, yeah, we track it, we do this, there's things. But what we really find out, especially in manufacturing, is a lot of the technologies that are used to design products, schedule the manufacturing floor, schedule the shift changes, all of those kinds of things are state of the art. Those have been really tried and true, and now people are leveraging technology to do that. Where they've fallen behind, or technology innovation has fallen behind until of recently, is helping people to track compliance across their organization. So the one thing that we always talk to business owners and senior leadership about is how to dial in and know exactly how compliant or non-compliant your business is in these three key areas: operations, employees, and customer. And then what we do is we take a look at what is their timeline between figuring out something on operations, employees, or customers was non-compliant and when it actually happened. And what we find is that timeline is not very short in so many cases. So the goal is every business owner should know is how dialed in they can get for monitoring compliance with operations, employee base, and customers, and how they can shorten that timeline to decrease the odds of financial impact to their organization. And there's systems out there like Ving that help you monitor in real time compliance with safety, quality, and operations and other things so that you can make proactive, data-driven decisions about what you need to do now before an employee is in harm's way or customer expectation is missed.
I love it. That is a really good piece of advice, and I appreciate you thinking about that and sharing with the group. One question I've been dying to know the answer to: where does the name Ving come from?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking that. First of all, we developed Ving from the ground up about 8 years ago, specifically for these core markets of manufacturing, construction, and all the trades. So if you think about taking a product and giving it a name, every name on the planet is taken already. So it was a very long, laborious process to find a name out that we could call our own, as well as to meet the criterion. We like to say Ving. So Ving is about throwing information out into your corporation. It's about making sure that the information and the training and the things that people need to know to deliver a job safely, quality, and to time expectations, it's motion. So we always say Ving, out into your company. And then our catchphrase is, it's time to get your Ving on. So we have a lot of fun with that across the company and with our Ving user community.
I was going to say, throw Ving like confetti. Get
there
that
you go.
information out there. I love it.
We,
That's a good thing.
we really work with people in very serious areas, quality, assurance, risk. So we didn't want to name the product something that put a smile on somebody's face. And especially if we said it's time to get your Ving on, it left everybody kind of in a good mood when talking about a very serious subject.
That's awesome. I never knew that. So that's really fun for me. And I just will remember now throwing Ving like confetti. So that's a really good way for me to remember you personally. All right. One last question. QR codes. I heard you have them. How do people use those with Ving?
You know, Mary, this was a feature that we launched earlier in January of 2020, at the beginning of the year, and it has just grown like crazy with our customer base. So the whole premise behind Ving is the right information at the right place at the right time for the task at hand, so that an employee can get the job done safely and to expectations. That's why we do a lot of microburst safety refreshers, microburst quality refreshers in our platform. But one of the things with the push of information is we're sending information out to employees at various times throughout the day, week, month, to make sure that they keep this topic top of mind. And we want to create habit. But as a safety manager or a supervisor or an HR manager who's accountable for a group of people, maybe at multiple locations, you have no way of knowing when somebody's going to perform a specific task and how hard it is for them to find the associated information to do that task correctly. So we came up with QR codes. In the Ving platform, you can attach a QR code to any information, print off a sticker, and stick it to something. So let's say that you stick it to an extension ladder. You have a new hire, they're new to the manufacturing construction world, and their job is to go get that extension ladder and put it up on the wall. I went to ladder safety training, but I don't quite remember how to set up an extension ladder. So they wing it, worst thing in the world. Instead, they find a QR code on it, and they get their phone out and they scan the QR code, and it immediately retrieves a 90-second video on how to properly set up an extension ladder. So people use these QR codes for all kinds of things. They put them on the door of a truck. And before you take the truck off the warehouse lot, you scan it and it says, here's the checklist you need to go through before driving this truck. Check the oil, check the gas, check the tire pressure, check the brake lights, check, 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 check. And then the thing about QR codes, no matter how they're used, they're tracked. So we know compliance by employee if they used information to help them to do a job safely, up to quality standards, and to expectation. And so people just use them all over the place because it's that closed loop of giving them information on demand and tracking on the back end by leadership to make sure that we're giving people information they need.
So instead of they go out and wing it, they go out and Ving it. Now they have all their checks all done and they're in compliance. That's how I'll remember these things. I have to put it into my own thought process there. Don't wing it, Ving it. See,
there you go. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I really appreciate you sharing so much. Number one, quality information for business owners and folks in my network that manage HR processes, but also just always being so supportive of ADP. We're happy to have you in our partner network, and we appreciate the time today. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.